for you. I thank God for the music, the musicians, and how you're keeping it together. You know, it's amazing that God can do things in spite of us getting in the way. Most of us would not get in God's way if we knew how to stay out of the way. But the Bible says our people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. We have been through something in the church this last week, Monday, that passed last Monday. We lost one of our members, been faithful with us for over a year now. And Brother Edwards, Ricky Edwards, his wife is here today, and our prayers go out to you and your family. He was killed in an accident, and so we need a word this morning from God in the congregation, to the family, and to those that may be listening to us, that follow us on Facebook. We want to greet you, and we pray to God. We know we have a word that help us deliver the word, because a lot of times when things happen, we don't understand how they happen, and we don't always know why they happen. But the thing is that God has been dealing with man for a very long time, and God will continue to deal with man. God deals with man in ways that man don't quite understand how he's being dealt with by God. Amen. And if you think about God and how he dealt with the world through Abraham, God had to bring Abraham into the world in a mysterious way, in a way that the world did not know what God was doing. They didn't even know who Abraham was, but yet Abraham had to fight every step of the way to stay connected with God, and for his faith not to be destroyed. In fact, Abraham is known by his faith in God. Abraham is known by his belief in God. And so if God talked to Abraham, spoke to Abraham, called Abraham, why is it that Abraham, even in the book of Hebrew, even in the New Testament, is mentioned as a man of faith? Because his faith was tried over and over again. His faith was tried because of what he had to endure, because what Abraham had to go through. Some of us are going through some things that we are not even aware of. In fact, we don't even know we're going through, and the things that we are aware of are not going to take us out or take us down. Some of the things we're aware of are not going to take us down. A lot of times, people in the hospital, I've been in the hospital with people, visiting them in the hospital, and the people have come out the hospital that were sick, expected to die, and the people that had visited them had died after, before they did, because the thing that you think is going to happen don't always happen. And the reason the world says that God works in mysterious ways is because God has to work in ways that Satan does not understand how he's working, because Satan is the enemy that's in the world, and Satan's enemy is not just God, but he takes it out on man. God is wiser than Satan. If it was just Satan and God, it wouldn't be a contest. God could destroy Satan within a minute, within a second. So it's not the problem with Satan and God. The problem is with God created man in his likeness and his image. God put man in the world to have dominion, to rule in the world, and God made a promise, a covenant with man, that man would rule the world. So Satan is greater than man in strength, wiser than man, has lived longer than man, knows God, been in the presence of God, and he hates man, and he's trying to destroy man. And yet man, the only way he can deal with God is to have his faith in God, to believe God, and to stand in every situation with God. Satan is trying to move man out of that faith state. Satan is trying to move man out of the state and purpose that God has for his life. So we read the Bible, a lot of times we try and take everything literal, in the Bible, but everything in the Bible is not literally taken for us. The Bible reflects the mind of God. It reflects the way God does things in the world, and also reflects the character of God. God's character is going to stay the same. That's not a question. We don't have to worry about God's character. He cannot sin, will not sin, cannot lie, and won't lie. He will honor his word, and you have to know his word in order for him to honor it. You have to stand on his word. Why? Because when God made man, he made man as a free moral agent, morally free. He could choose good, or man could choose bad. God put man in the world. God's faith is in man to overcome the world. God's faith is in man to do what Satan could not do when he was in the midst of the garden. When Satan was walking under the direction and authority of God, one of the singers in the Bible that sung in the presence of God, the Bible said so beautiful that man could not even imagine how he was clothed in diamonds and rubies, but yet in his heart evil was found in him. And now he's been demoted, and his influence is with man, and his weapon is deception. And a lot of Christians are deceived. Now, I'm going to give you an example. Why would God have to bring Abraham into a world, make a covenant with Abraham, protect Abraham, give him a land that Abraham would never occupy, would not even own such as a foot while he lived? Wouldn't even have a foot in the land the whole time he lived, but yet God gave him the land, and he promised, he called it the promised land. And he told him that his generation, even though his wife was barren at the time, could not have children. Abraham was past the childbearing age, but God promised him that his seed would be more than the sand on the seashore. He promised him. So God's promises don't extend to your generation. It goes far beyond your generation. You're not living for you. You're living for the promise. You're living for the generation that will come after you. And the reason that you can live that way and expect God to do something is because you will not die. This is a good chance for me to get this in. You will not die, but your body will decay because of the curse, because of what Satan did in the garden. Death came into the world. Now man has to face death. That means man will die, his body will die, but his spirit will live forever. So the battle between Satan and man, Satan's trying to keep your spirit to be with God so that you may receive eternal life with God and not eternal damnation. Now Satan destroys man through the world that God created, through the fallen world. The creation is fallen, and through his flesh. The best way Satan can get man through his flesh. Man cannot overcome his flesh. His flesh is worse any day, as far as I'm concerned, than Satan will ever be, because most of us will never ever come into contact with Satan himself. You haven't dealt with Satan. You're not ready for him. Abraham dealt with him. You haven't. Your flesh, you can't even deal with. If you had, Brother Murphy, can I get you to stand up a minute? I want you to look at this man. He came from the brinks of death. I mean, he came from death about 4 times. Yeah. You may be seated. Now, if you look at him, he's lost about 20 or 30 pounds. Why? Why did he lose that much weight? Well, if you had a house, and then you build a bigger house, big house, your air conditioner's not going to take care of that house. You need a bigger air conditioner. When he got sick, his body weight came down so that his heart and those things that's keeping him alive could be more efficient. That's the way God designed us. But yet we allow flesh to put us in a position where our heart, our air conditioner, we need a new pump, a new compressor, because we're getting bigger, but everything else is smaller that's running this thing, and we wonder why God is not doing everything to us. Some things we're doing to ourselves. So you go to the doctor, If I didn't take a high blood pressure pill today, I wouldn't be here today. But I'll tell you one thing, I could be here because God's got a remedy other than a high blood pressure pill. That remedy, one thing, and it took me years to understand that, is not one, lower your cholesterol, lower your blood pressure. How do you do it? Through the fuel. You got a car, you're still using 78, whatever that, 87? And some people got a car, they got to use
93.
I know my brother here, Cooper, he got to use 92
93.
octane in his car. He can't put no, and that's what it is with your body. Your body is your temple, your house, and you got something running it on the inside, and it don't never stop. Only time you get a rest when you go to sleep, and then I got a watch to give you a heartbeat. It had it down to 60 something, and get it up to 80 something, beat something. I'm like, my God. And it know when you're sleeping, this thing, because it measures your pulse. So in other words, your body is a machine. And you don't have no solar power. You don't have no. You can't just lay in the sun all day. You got to go eat some beans and some rice. That's your fuel. But anyway, getting back to that, I'm just telling you that in studying this message today, I got so much this week out of it because I finally looked at the body. I'm saying when God gave the Israelites that promise and he told them what to eat. Don't eat this, don't eat that, don't eat this, don't eat that. Now, it was a covenant, a food covenant that he had with the law with Moses and the Israelites, but it was based on the fact that don't eat anything unclean. I want to demonstrate to you that these things, that I'm clean, I'm pure, and I'm even going to keep you from eating stuff that will kill you that's unclean. It's not that, but in the New Testament, you got 2 or 3 chapters that tell you can eat anything and bless it. That's why we still live. We blow it up and we bless the stuff we ain't supposed to eat. I mean, that's unclean. That's not good for you. Your body, it's your body. I don't care what you eat. I'm just telling you that if you get a bigger house, you're going to have to call a man in. Thank God they got laws in the city where if you got to get a building inspector. He come down and said, no, that air conditioner, you got to get rid of, you got to get a new heart, a new heat pump, because that's too big. Everybody want a big house, but they don't want to pay the light bill. No, sir, don't get a big house. Keep the same house that you got, you live longer. That's free. So now you know why. You know why that you understand that your house is going to get bigger because your appetite is larger. Well, guess what? That's high risk. So the name of my message is a high risk situation. I'm talking about a high risk situation. A high risk situation. And you can't get it confused. We got to find out what God is doing in our lives. Our children are going to be all right because if we raise them the way they should go, they're going to find God because God's got a promise and a covenant. Amen. And the covenant is to you and your children. Have you ever noticed when a person is an alcoholic or a drunk or a drug addict, if you don't watch it, his kids will be the same. I don't care whose home you raise them in. Until that covenant and that curse is broken, that curse is in the family to 3rd and 4th generations. You don't just get blessed. When you put that money in, the Bible says this way, when Abraham paid tithes, even though Levi was not even born, there was no such thing as tithes. Levi, there's the priesthood, the law came through the covenant that God made with Moses, the Levitical covenant, and part of the tithes were in that. So when Levi was in the wombs of Abraham, 3-4 generations ahead, he never paid tithes. He was a high priest, and he never paid tithes. The Bible says he paid them. Abraham paid them for him. When Abraham paid tithes, he paid tithes for his seed and his seed, his children. Now Levi gets to be the high priest, Levitical priesthood. When you pay tithes, you don't pay for yourself. You pay for your whole family. See, God is a generational God. God is an eternal God. And the things that God, only thing we have to deal with is this generation. If you can get through this generation and do it right, your next generation is going to take care of this. The Bible says it this way, don't worry about tomorrow. You worry about today. If you're not right today, there's no sense you worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow will what? It will what? My God. I would rather take my time and serve God and get it right than to get it wrong. Because everything in the Bible is about government. Everything is in the Bible about God trying to get the government right. Everything about God is trying to get, why? Because the government is for the people and of the people. It should be for the people, but the government is about the people. And what happened is most of the time you're being fooled. You're being fooled because any time, and I don't want to go this way, but any time the government or any party does not represent exactly what any party and any law that goes against God's word and his law, you'll find out they're not representing you. I don't care what you call them, Democrats, Republicans. If they go against God's law, they're going against you because God has given a law. There's a law of righteousness. There's a law of gravity. You might not know how to fly, but whoever you're flying with will not fly if he don't have thrust and lift to overcome gravity, because there's a law. The law is a law until itself. The law will take care of itself.
That's right.
You jump off a roof, if you're not prepared to land, you're going to die. There's a law of righteousness and holiness. And Deuteronomy chapter 28 tells you it's certain things you can do, you're going to be blessed. And certain things that you do, it's going to bring a curse on you. So that's the law of righteousness. God tells you, I put before you life and death, choose life. And he gives you a law to tell you how to live. So people want to change God's law and still want to call him their God. You can't have it your way. You got to have it God's way. He said, how should they believe unless they hear? How should they hear without a preacher? And how shall he preach unless I send him? Sometimes we got to understand that when Abraham was called by God, the government was out of control. Abraham had to go into a land that he had to come out of his land and go to another land, and even in secret. He was there. He was there. But God had a plan for Abraham, because God said, through this one man, I'm going to raise up a governor. Through his seed, even though it may take 42 generations, I'm going to raise a seed up. I promised a woman in the garden that her seed would crush his head. And this man, Abraham, his wife is barren, but this is the man. I'm going to allow that seed to come through. Why? Simply because he believed me and he trusts me. So the seed of Abraham, when he comes in, I'm going to put the government on his shoulders. Until then, you got to live the way you got to live, but you never deny God. Until then, you do what you can in your generation, because the next generation will take care of itself. He put you where he wanted you. There's certain things God will do and certain things God will not do. And we need to know the difference. Doesn't matter what the devil do. The Bible says that Abraham, that Job was perfect with God. And God had a hedge around him. Satan said, I can't get to him because you have a hedge around Job. So that tells us right there, if he's no respected person, he'll put a hedge around you. But guess what? A lot of people don't want to live in the hedge. They want to come out and peep and see what's going on beyond the hedge. They want to travel somewhere under somebody else's hedge. They want to get themselves, God, Lord. Oh, God said, Lord, what can I do for you? Son, give me a hedge cutter so I can get out of here. Get me a hedge cutter. Send me somebody with a lawnmower and a hedge cutter, because I want to get out of here. It's too hard living this way. No, it's not too hard. High risk. A high risk situation. An accident is something that is not planned by God. An accident. You know what an accident is? An accident is something that is not planned by God, or foreseen by man. But if it is a high risk situation, it says, but if it is a high risk situation where it should be foreseen, then we hold those responsible for the act of a higher degree. In other words, if I work on a job or go anywhere, a coal mine or anywhere, and I know it's a General Motors, a high risk situation, I'm gonna get my hand chopped. I'm holding those I work for at a higher standard, because I'm in a high risk situation. Well, let me tell you something. Satan put all of us in a high risk situation. Because there's not just accidents, there's also penalties and curses. The New Testament read it this way. Verse 8, chapter 10 of Ecclesiastic, Elder Collins, that's on your paper. I want you to read the NIV. We talk about a high risk. I want to show you about a high risk situation. It all ends up to how you're living right now and what is the risk that you're taking and what is the risk that your family members take. Do you have family members on drugs? Do you have family members that's alcoholics? Do you have family members that's violating the covenant of God every day? That is a high risk situation. But we can be saved, sanctified, filled with the Holy Ghost, and still live in a high risk situation. Can you read that for me? I want the Living Bible on that because I want to read from verse 8 to verse 10.
Ecclesiastic 10, verse 8.
Verse 8.
When you dig a well, you might fall in. When you demolish an old wall, you could be bitten by a snake. When you work in a quarry, stones might fall and crush you. When you chop wood, there's danger with each stroke of your axe. Using a dull axe requires great strength, so sharpen the blade. That's the value of wisdom. It helps you succeed.
So that's the value. High risk. I want to bring you a message today that would apply to not only the situation, what we're dealing with a brother that died accidentally. You know, there's accidental deaths every day. And those are very hard on us because we really have to get greater understanding. We're not prepared for accidental deaths. But the Bible is telling us that if you got a high risk situation, you need to be prepared for accidental deaths. When you travel on your car, that's a high-risk situation. Not because you're the driver, but because of other drivers. That's a high-risk situation. Most of the saints know that we need to pray before we go on a trip. Amen. Most of the saints know that we need to, when our family members get ready to leave out their house, you don't let them get back on that road without sending some angels with them. Without alerting them. Maybe they're not in good stead with the angels. Maybe they haven't talked to the angels a while. Maybe the angels listen to rock and roll or something. But we got to wake them up. Come on, Pastor. We can send this man down the highway. Hey, you need to get on your job. That's my fact. That's a high-risk situation. High-risk situation. So our brother was in a high-risk situation. And when you find yourself in a high-risk situation, some of you are in a high-risk situation. Come on, Pastor. You're overweight. Your heart didn't get any bigger. Well, in fact, if your heart gets overweight, then the heart got to carry the heart and you. That's right. Had a brother that was here last year when he called me up there. The Bible says his heart was big as a basketball. At that time, I didn't understand high risk. God didn't give me this message. I went up to see him and I'm praying. Everybody, the people with me was praying. Everybody was praying. But that prayer probably kept him alive a long time. But he still never did anything to minimize the risk. Minimize risk. One thing about the truth, it'll set you free. Amen. Amen. It'll set you free. Smoking is a high-risk situation. Drinking is a high-risk situation. Drinking and driving is a high-risk situation. Amen. Ultimate lifestyles, a high-risk situation. We got a world now that would curse you out because you don't believe what they believe and tell you to your face that they got a God. And their God, everything they do is okay with their God. Come on, Pastor. But see, what Satan wants us to do is go against our God and accept what they do. No, I'm going to pray for you. If you in my family, I'm praying for you. I'm not accepting. You can talk about me like a dog. I'm going to pray for you. You can talk about me blue in the face. You can be one of my nieces. You can be one of my nephews. You can hate me. You can hate what I got. But I'm going to pray for you because number one, whatever's coming out of your mouth, I already know what's in your heart. Amen. You're in a high-risk situation, and you don't want anybody to say anything about it. You want to keep the ones that can call on their God quiet. No. Weeping may endure for a night. But I'm praying for morning time. Amen. High-risk situation. There was a Elder God, I want you to read that about the ferry for me. And when I say ferry, y'all, I'm talking about a boat. Amen. I ain't talking about nobody with a tooth.
Watch out now, Pastor.
You know, Tooth Fairy, right? We don't hear much about that fairy no more. I think that fairy didn't quit.
Watch
That
out,
fairy,
Pastor.
that fairy probably said, you got so many fairies now, I'm just quit.
Watch out, Pastor.
The kids don't know about the Tooth Fairy no more. They teach them something else in school, about some other fairies. Go ahead.
A ferry heading from Dover, England, sank, and a couple of hundred people died. It was because of an avoidable human error. Someone was careless and forgot to close a certain door, and it led to the tipping of the ferry.
Someone, all the cars, all the people in England, you guys heard about it. They didn't lock the door. They didn't close the door. They didn't secure the door. Someone had a job. He might have been on the cell phone. He might have been depressed. Whatever happened to him, it was some saints on that ferry too. You better believe, because God got people everywhere. It was some good people and bad people. But we want to go around and we want to act like, okay, nothing happened. Well, first of all, a whole lot of things can happen if you don't pray.
Amen.
If you don't pray and you don't ask God to cover you and your family, you are in a high-risk situation just because of accidents alone. And for a person to make it to 80 years old is not saved, my God. I mean, why live to 80 or 100 just to go to hell? My God, that's crazy, right? That's high risk. There's a whole lot of people in church every Sunday, and they will curse you out. Every Sunday, I hear more reports about people that I serve with that curse people out. People that I know supposed to be saved that curse people out. And I'm like, you sure? Pastor, that person will curse you out. Say words you never, that ain't even in the dictionary.
Come on, Pastor.
And I'm like, God, you sure?
Come on, Pastor.
Lord's like, well, you know, if you knew this first, you might not have been so nice to him. I'm going to be nice to you anyway. Because, Lord, there go out, but by the sake of God's goodness and kindness and grace. But I just said, when you curse people, I don't think I don't know about it. Even the birds going to come back and tell me about it. I know all the curses almost in the church now. Y'all get mad, and some of y'all be saying everything but a curse word. When your kids know you're cursing, they start saying the real words. You can't. Cursing is cursing.
Amen.
Stop cursing.
Make it plain.
Stop using an M for something else and an F for something else and this for something else. Let your yea be yea.
Name be name.
High risk. All right.
Come on,
now, got
Pastor.
your body straight. You can keep eating if you want to.
Amen.
But Brother Kenny is in the hospital. He went last night.
He
Kenny.
is, Pastor, he on the way home.
He went last night. He called me, he called me, and I went over there. Now, here's my thing. What was his situation? See, because I'm going to seek God. I can do all the praying I want. But what I need to do is tie your hand behind your back. And then I need to pray, because you won't. You know? So anyway, yeah, that's right. Look.
He's watching.
Huh?
He's watching.
Oh, that's all right. I'm thinking Kenny had his fluids lower. His fluids. He drank the water. He worked in the sun. His fluids got so bad that he was high risk with his kidneys. But I knew he was going to be all right. Sister Cheryl knew he was going to be all right. But you know, the first thing I did was went to God. Because Satan's trying to tell me something. Oh, you got a curse down there. Man, you must be kidding. Satan, it wasn't Satan himself. It was whoever he got. Yeah, he's a lie, because guess what? God sent me people that's sick because he know I can handle it. Amen. I ain't going in there mad. I'm not going there sad. I'm not going there disappointed. I'm going there believing that God going to do what he said he's going to do.
Come on,
until God say no. And if God say no, I'm going to be like David. I'm going to get up, wash my face, and I'm moving on.
Amen.
David prayed for his child.
Yes,
he
he did.
prayed every day. The child was born sick, but he was conceived in sin.
Yes, he did.
Out of wedlock. And David prayed and prayed and
Yes,
prayed.
he did.
And the servant was so concerned about David. He said, if this child died,
Well, Lord,
if this child died, my God, David, the king, will fall to pieces. David got up and washed his face. Why? Because he knew God made a decision. That's the way it is with me. I mean, when you know God, when you know His ways, when you know who He is, He didn't say no until He said no. No, I'm believing He said the elders of the church, send for the elders, and the prayer of faith will save the sick. But God has the option to say yes and he has the option to say no. It's time for saints to understand that we are there until the job is done. We are there at the hospital. We don't come in and try to make the person feel good. We come in there to pray. Amen. To run them spirits out. To put them demons under control. We got some keys with us. We come to lock them out. And when God said they well done, they come home. That's the only way they come home. Most of the people, you go in the hospital, they're sicker than a dog. You look at them, they look so bad. They look like they're about to die. They don't even know you there. Sister Ann was in the hospital 3 or 4 weeks. I went to see her every day. She never even knew I was there. She was so sick. They had ice packed on Sister Ann. She's right there. Had ice packed on her from the head to the front because her temperature was 107. They had her packed in ice till the skin burned. But Sister Ann, when she came out, she didn't remember a thing. Don't you worry about what it looked like. Don't worry about what it sounded like. You've been sent there to do a job. That's what you're there for. If you don't have the faith to do it, then stay home till you get some faith. If you don't have the faith, don't go in there and start talking about my uncle died this way. My cousin died like that. That's all you got to say. Come on, Pastor. You keep it moving. By the way, I take that message for me too. I like hamburgers too. I take that message for me. Because like I said, you cannot get a bigger house unless you're going to get a bigger heat pump. A bigger exit. And some of these, you ever seen a 500 or 600 pound man? You ain't never seen him walking. Why? Why is not walking? Because his heart won't take it. We got to lose some weight. Amen. We got to lose some weight. Not buy bigger clothes. Lose weight. Don't let your belt stretch out. You may be stretch that belly all night because that belt was too tight. But at least when it stops scratching, you know you're starting to lose some weight. Come on, Pastor. The heat is on right now. My God. Every time I see you in Walmart, you're in a bigger department. Watch out, Pastor. Don't think I don't be looking at how I look up here now. What's that? Lord, boy, 6 months ago I had it going on, you know, and I looked, I said, man, I just relaxed for a little while. There it comes. All right. You know what? The truth hurts us so bad. Yeah, it do. I ain't never going back to that church. I'd rather tell you the truth if you don't come back I bet when you get that little waist like that, I bet you come up here strut. No, Pastor, look at me now. Yeah, girl, you sure look good. We are responsible for our mistakes. Hundreds of examples of this sort of thing happen in human error, that they try to say human error is God's will. Somebody died, it's God's will. Somebody fell, that's God's will. Somebody got killed in the car crash, that's God's will. Why? Because God knows everything? Because God can do everything? There's so many people in the church mad because their mother died. Father died. Because they want to blame God. God don't make us eat the way we eat. God don't cause the diseases to go from one generation to another generation. It comes through your generation because of sin. If you got alcoholism, if you got cancer and all that stuff, follows that. It might get an innocent person and kill them, but it's still some sin down in that family line. In that family line. What Satan wants to do is destroy the family line where you can't even recognize a family. You won't know what it looks like no more. Children be looking like something from outer space. Mom and daddy, or daddy and daddy, and some children be looking like an IQ. That's what Satan wants. Satan hates man and woman. God made a male and he made a female, and he gave the women an order. And Solomon explained, he said that virtuous woman, she loves her husband, she helps her, she don't take her husband over. If he ain't a man, she make him out of a man. Let him be a man. When two women get married, one of them got to decide, I believe, who's going to be the man. Somebody got to have a man in the house. And a woman. Don't forget, God made male and female because they have a role to play. Right now, we're trying to get confused because we're trying to get with the news media and they tell us we're homophobic and everything else that we don't like that they got a name for. They got a name for everything. I don't see none of them in the Bible. Have you seen any of them names they call in the Bible. And you can run around here and you don't know what's good. You don't know what's bad. You don't know what's right. The Bible's right. It's right, and it will hold up until the end of time, because when Jesus Christ comes back, he's not only coming as a governor, and he's not only going to reign in Jerusalem for 1,000 years, he's going to put Satan away, and he's going to reign with a rod of iron. There's going to be no sin. So anybody that think they are saint and still sinning like they're crazy, you won't be in that kingdom. That's Satan's kingdom. You just got it mixed up. Y'all might be in charge for now, but you won't be in charge for long. Because we talking about long as eternal. Eternally. I'm not living for this life. I'm living for the life forever. Always and forever. All right, that next page. Some high-risk situations. If we make a bad choice or purpose, it is sin. If we make a bad choice on purpose, it is sin. But if we make them out of ignorance, they could be an accident. If we make a bad choice, that's a bad choice on purpose. I'm purpose to sin. But sometimes we make bad choices. Accident could be on a job, could be in a high-risk situation. But sin is making that bad choice in spite of understanding that God don't want you to make that choice. And you're going to have to get strong in your willpower where you can resist the devil. You can't resist the devil, and you can't serve God right unless you learn how to resist Satan. You can't serve God with pipes, cigarettes, smokestacks, jacked up, and everything else, and you tell somebody you're a Christian. You may sound like one, may look like one till you go home, but the bottom line is you're going to have a home. You're going to have a home. And in order for you to get in, you're going to have to pass the test. Some high-risk situations. What are the bad choices you are making each day? You know, you come up here preaching, and I'm saying, I'm just going to preach about Jesus. That's what I got to. I don't know nothing about these people. I don't care. But you can't preach about Jesus without preaching about what he came here for. You can't preach about Jesus without preaching about his power and his mercy and his grace. Jesus can give you the grace where you can immediately stop smoking, stop drinking. But when you make excuses for your sin, the first thing to get rid of your sin is stop making excuses for it. Come on now. Stop making excuses for it. The first thing to do as far as stop accidents with your children, put a helmet on if they're going to ride a bicycle. The helmet costs you $30, but their head costs a lot more. You go up, if you're going to have a high-risk situation, pray about it and take precaution. Don't just do something crazy. If you in your car and you see a motorcycle driving like that, he didn't pass no driver's test like that. He's driving reckless. And if somebody opened a car door, it could kill him while he's running up between cars. Bad choices.
Amen.
What are the bad choices that we make each day? All right, let's read event. I got event 4 on there. Even which God, these are events that God permits. See, now I want to break this down a little bit and tell you something God permits. He didn't cause. See, people say God caused that. God knew the day he was going to die. Yeah, that don't mean you took him. If he told me today somebody's going to die, I would try to stop it, but that don't mean I caused it. You got people now, God tell them a little something, and they walking in the church. Oh, my God. I'm this, I'm that. I can tell you this, I can tell you that. But what you want out of it? Well, I don't want nothing but give God the glory. Okay, now I believe you.
Amen.
That don't mean that God didn't tell him. It just means that sometimes people profit off of the gifts that God has given them. And that's why people don't understand the church. They start their own church. They got a telephone church. Everybody calling them, getting a little word, and they getting the little funds. Okay, let's go with that. I mean, I come to church, I didn't know. I thought everybody that act like they were crazy was saved. Come on, Elder God. But I know better now. Like, lady, get the mic, going around with the mic, talking and everything. I'm like, is that God? Oh, God. I know you'd be doing the same thing. Okay. Why did Jesus go to the poor people? He went to the poor people because the rich people didn't have no need for him. They didn't want to change. Amen. But I guarantee you right now, if he go up in one of our neighborhoods, he's going to get chased out. Come on.
Amen.
The Old Testament law had a very clear distinction between an act of violence, which was chosen, and an accidental act of violence. In Exodus 21 and 12.
All right, let's put Exodus 21 and 12. See, what she said, the Old Testament had a very clear distinction between acts of violence, which was chosen. In other words, you chose an act of violence or accidental act. There's an accidental death that people can do. You got the scripture up there? Can you read that scripture for me?
Exodus 21 and 12. He that smiteth a man so that he die shall be surely put to death.
If you kill a man and you mean to kill him, that's a death penalty. Now, we have people going around, oh, we don't believe in the death penalty. The church didn't know what to believe. Yeah, they're probably right. The Bible says don't kill. You hear what that says? God don't make no mistakes. You kill a man, your blood is required of you. If you don't do it, your family going to try to do it. Thank God they got a court. That's the only reason some of these murderers will walk around here free. Go ahead, Elder Olive.
Anyone who strikes a man and kills him shall surely be put to death. However, if he does not do it intentionally, but God lets it happen, he is to flee to a place I would designate. The first is what we call first-degree murder.
First-degree murder. That's when you intentionally kill a person. Manslaughter could be somebody coming to your house to kill you, and you have to defend your house. Go ahead with the next one.
It is a willful planning to take another's life. The second is what we call manslaughter. There was never any willful desire to take another life. It happened because of unforeseen events, which we call accidents. There are all kinds of degrees of responsibility for these kinds of events.
Okay, let's get number 2 that I had. See, I got the numbers written backwards just so I could just do something different. Y'all know. Go ahead. Events which God prevents. All right, I want to cover some events. See, God permits some things. What she just covered was events which God permits. You see a person killed, you see an accident, sometimes a person fall, or you knock a wall down that falls on you. These are things that God could stop. But God don't stop everything in the world. He don't cause He's got a law in the world, the law of holiness, a law of righteousness, and that law would do more for you than the law of prayer. Do more for you than anything else, but there's some things that can happen. And this was things which God permits. And so we know God can permit some things, right? Because God knows all things. But I don't go around saying God did that, because God don't do things like that. How's it going to benefit? Once a man is dead, he can't do any more good. His good is already finished. So go ahead with verse, is it 3?
These are things events that God prevents. These are things that would have happened if God had not stepped into history.
No. Let's do 3. Adam and Eve.
Which God prohibits.
All right, this is things that God prohibit. Now, listen, this is what you want to know. Some things that God prevent. If God didn't prevent these things that happened to you, you prayed, you did this, you did that. God did not prevent it, but He could have. Doesn't mean He did it. Doesn't mean He caused it. He just did not prevent it. Now, these are what, Elder God, things that God what?
Prohibits.
God will not let go. He will not let happen. If God don't stop it, it's going to happen. Read that for me real quick.
These are all things that God forbids. He forbid Adam and Eve to eat a certain fruit. He gave commandments of what men should not do. These things do not take place. However, because God has given man the freedom to disobey Him, God does not will these events, nor does He prevent them. They happen against His will. All such events are what we shall call sin.
All right, these are things that God prohibits. All right, I should have said it clear. God prohibits these things, but He don't stop them. You have the will to either do it or not do it. Not like people say, well, if God know me, if He want to save me, He come. He know where I live. He know this. He know that. He know that. But that's not the way it works. Okay. God prohibits us doing certain things, but we do them anyway. He don't stop them, because in this government or this world that Satan runs, God don't stop it yet. But there's going to come a time when this world, when you're going to have a righteous king on the earth. You have a righteous government in the earth. And there will not be any sin in earth. But until that time comes. In other words, there's going to be a time when it's going to be done on earth as it is what?
In heaven.
As it is in heaven. This stuff don't go on in heaven. I don't know why you think you're going to go up in heaven and try to do what you did on earth. No, you got to get rid of some of that stuff. You got to get all the junk. Go ahead.
Which one?
We're going to do number 2. So while she's looking at number 2, look, it says, on Adam and Eve, he forbid them. Once they did what God forbid, they changed. They began to know good and evil. They began to know they were naked. They began a whole situation change. They lost authority in the world. Satan usurped them. The woman changed because now a sentence was passed upon her by God himself in childbearing and in authority. In authority in childbearing. And that's even, in other words, her role. Instead of Adam and Adam, or it was Adam and Eve. She became the mother of the land. She became the one. Now even Satan is attacking the children in the womb. In the womb. And see, we don't know what to think because we know that, well, there's so many people already that if they stop abortion, but that ain't my problem. Just think I just say what God say, you know. And I got a abortion. Okay, we're gonna read that real quick. Ella, go and turn to that last page I gave you, and we're gonna read that real quick. I'll read it for you. Oh Lord, you have examined my heart and know everything about me. You know, this is Psalms 139, verse 1 through 24, New NIV, New Testament,
New Living Translation.
New Living Translation. Oh Lord, David says this, oh Lord, you have examined my heart and know everything about me. You know when I sit down and stand up. You know my thoughts, even when I'm far away. You see me when I travel and when I rest at home. You know everything I do. You know what I am going to say even before I say it. Lord, you go before me and follow me. You place your hand of blessings on my head. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too great for me to understand. I can never escape from your spirit. I can never get away from your presence. If I go up to heaven, you are there. If I go down to the grave, you are there. If I ride the wings of the morning, if I dwell by the furthest ocean, even there your hand will guide me and your strength will support me. I could ask the darkness to hide me and the light around me to become night, but even in darkness I cannot hide from you. To you the night shines as bright as day. And I can go on and on and on. You can do it too, but this is David's knowledge of the God that we serve. And it's right. I'll go along with that 100%. But let's do that number 2 on that page. We're going to bring it in slowly for you. But I want you to know that God knows these things. God prohibits something and he prevents something. What he prevents is what we get ready to talk about now. Now, what he prohibited, that means you can still do it. Now, everything he don't name. Why do something that's high risk? Smoking is high risk. There's a lot of things people do that's high risk. Some things we do that's high risk we have to do. Going into a coal mine, a diamond mine, a lot of things is high risk. But he's giving you the wisdom and knowledge to prepare for high risk. When a person when I went to Vietnam in 1966, I was in a battalion level. When I got there, they sent me down to company level. I had been in company level for a long time. I was 25 years old. I was a 31 Golf. They sent me down as a 11B. And what did they do when I got there? They said, go to this platoon over here, this squad. Wait a minute. I'm in combat. I'm in the combat, but I'm doing something. But they sent me all the way down, high risk. And guess where they were getting killed at? Everybody there was getting killed. Every day somebody was dying, almost every day. That was high risk. Now, who saved me? God saved me. But guess what? The thing he saved me by? Knowledge. I had gone to a communication school for 3 months before I went to Vietnam, and they had all these radios. Nobody could talk on them. And when the company commander found out that I was communication, because you call in the jets, you call in the airstrike, you call in medevac. You know, you can talk to God on radio. You know, you talk to God. Say, right now, I'm talking to God. I don't need no radio. But when he found that out, oh no, you don't go down there. You stay up here, and we're going to teach them how to operate the radio. See what I mean? My people are destroyed for what?
Lack of knowledge.
Hallelujah. Let's get that next one, Elder Garland.
Events which God prevents.
All right. Everybody say events which what?
Which God prevents.
You need to know what he prevents. You need to see, you're looking for God. Some things God is not going to prevent in your life if you don't pray. Some things are only going to be prevented. Jesus said you have not.
Because you ask not.
Some things. When you go to a high-risk job, you need to pray every day. You can't. Now, God can still protect you because maybe you haven't finished what you got to do, but it's his choice. It's a whole lot of things that God can do. But you have to understand he's still God by himself. Go ahead with that number 2.
These are things that would have happened if God had not stepped into history.
Y'all hear what I'm saying? These are things that would happen if God, in your family, in your life right now, and some of you, God stepped in, that's why you're here, and say, God prevented you from selling them drugs. God prevented you, but you have come in out the cold, but yet you're still cold. You have come in from out the world, and you still got one foot out there. You don't need nothing out there. If God called you into the church, you need to serve with all your heart, all your mind, all your might. You need to serve God. Why? Because God is going to serve you.
Amen.
Go ahead, Elder Garland. Something God prevent.
Pharaoh took Sarah because of her beauty.
The Pharaoh took Abraham's wife, the seed carrier, the woman that was going to bear the seed of Christ, the woman that was going to bear the whole nation of Israel, their whole nation. God raised up a whole nation of people to himself and gave him a religion. So they were a Jewish nation, and their religion was Judaism, their religion. He was their God, and God was his people. When Christ came, he raised up a kingdom. And we're in the kingdom right now. I really think that God raised America up to protect Israel, one nation under God, and I really believe that we are God's people. But people now want to say we're not a Christian nation. They're doing everything they can do. Why? It does not benefit them for us to be a Christian nation. Because if we serve God as a Christian, that's even stricter than what the Jews did.
Amen.
My God. Sure. That's more stricter than what the Jews did. They don't want a Christian nation. They want to do everything they can do. We don't need to be fooled by government, open borders, and everything else. We need to understand that it's not black or white. It's Christ or Satan. Christ or Satan. You're either in or you're out. You're either for God all the way. Ain't no such thing as compromise. You can't, a double-minded person will not get in the kingdom of God because he can't stay focused long enough. He can't keep his mind made up. Every doctrine, every time somebody preaches something new, you run and got itching ears and can't even hear what Christ is saying. Got somebody in your ear. The first time somebody get in my ear, I want to see what their shoes look like. If their shoes are worn out, I know they've been running too many places.
Watch out, pal.
Just go. Tell me nothing. You can't stand nowhere. You can't do nothing. You can't serve God, but you love to talk about it. Love to talk about it. Do you understand the number one thing in the world today? Make more money than anything else, even them rappers make. It's called gossip. The news. Gossip. And they talk. You can't call it news when you're talking about hatred all day long, every day. God don't operate like that. And you listen to it, you're going to get full of it. You will not. Here comes somebody. That Pastor Matthews, he's all right, but all right. Here he come, y'all. Here he come. Here he come. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? They talk about me before I come because number one, I don't care. And number two, I used to care. But God said, I'm going to keep you down here until you learn who to trust. You be like King Saul, trying to serve the people when you need to be who? Serving who? God. You need to be serving who? God. You can't serve God and serve the people. God called David. You know why he called David? Because David wasn't a politician. You know why he called David? Because David wasn't loyal to nobody but God. He called David because David was a shepherd of the flock. He knew how to protect. God needs a man after his own heart. If you can listen to what a person is talking about, come on, at the moment, everything they don't agree with is all me, me, me. If I'm going to talk about me, and I can talk about me, I'm going to talk about what God got me out of. I'm talking about 2 birthdays I thought I wasn't going to live through.
Well,
when you live through the 2 birthdays I lived through, I don't care if you give me a birthday party or not. I don't care if you take a gift and put it in the sewer. I don't care what you do because I got back home.
Amen.
I can have my own birthday. I mean, people like, oh, Pastor, you didn't come to my birthday party. I said, look, man, you didn't come to mine. Well, you didn't have one. That's why I didn't have one.
Well,
I'm going to celebrate when I get to heaven.
Amen.
And that's continual serving God because Satan is a lot wiser. Them demons used to follow me around when I was DJing. I don't have them demons no more. Them boys have gone home. They gone home to mama. They can't handle me. I got them big boys now. I got them kind now where, Pastor, can you come to the hospital? Your members here. Over and over. That's them big boys. If you can't go up there, oh God.
Come on, Pastor.
Lord. No, I know God. I know who he is. I don't have to call him no more. I know who he is. I know what he'll do. And I know that he is sovereign. That means he'll do what he want to do. And I'm going to believe until he tell me to go home. All right. Go ahead, Elder Gordon. What was that we were doing?
God prevented his having her.
Prevented. God prevented.
And got her back to Abraham unharmed and unused. The same thing happened later with Rebekah. The killing of the baby of Jesus by Herod was also prevented. There is no way to know how many terrible things never happened because God prevented them from happening.
It's some children.
These 2 kinds of events, what God plans and
It's
what
some
God
children they got in this world that wasn't supposed to get in this world because God prevented that abortion.
Come on, Pastor.
It's some God can prevent what he wants to prevent.
Yes, he can.
If David said he knew me before I was shaped in my mother's womb, David said these things are too wonderful for me to understand. All I know is David said, no, I can't go nowhere, but God knows it. So I'm just believing that the ones that God wanted to come in this world, come to the world, and he will have them through I don't care who. When I see a lady nowadays with a baby, I'm saying, God bless you. Because there's so many of them that walk around, still got that figure, and they never lost it because they never want to have a baby. That's what the women, God brought them in the world to do, to be mothers. Without mothers, you're not going to have families. But it's a way to do it. I'm not minimizing what it is. I'm telling you how Satan is fighting the seed.
Come on, Pastor.
She just said that the Pharaoh took Abraham's wife. That was going to bear the whole nation of Israel through Isaac. He took a wife because she was so beautiful and the woman was old. And she was so pretty, he took her. Pretty gets you in trouble.
Amen.
If you're pretty, you better be able to handle it. Because you're getting a lot of trouble because somebody looking at you when you just walking. Anyway, but God told the Pharaoh, say, you the same as a dead man. You the same as a dead man. He said, why? What have I done? You took that man's wife, but he told me she was her sister. He told you because he knew that if he told you she was your wife, you're going to kill a man.
Amen.
But God said, I got you tonight. You better not only give him his wife back, but give him a whole lot of stuff to go with it.
Glory.
Now, a lot of us don't want to wait on God long enough, but we don't know what God will do. Let me tell you what God won't do. If you're sick, he will heal you. But if you're making yourself sick, he might not stop you.
Amen.
Stop making yourself sick. Now that message I could have preached 10 years ago. I didn't know it like that. I would have done it. All food is blessed. 3 chapters of food blessed. You can eat what you want. You can become an ice cream sandwich. Eat what you want if you want to. You won't be able to have to open the doorway up. Don't do it. Don't do it. Understand that the heart is not going to get any larger. It may get bigger, but it's dangerous. It may get bigger, because everything grows, the flesh grows, right? So let's start getting taking care of ourselves. That's slave food. That's all right to do it on 4th of July once in a while, but they gave you food that wasn't even fit to eat. We made it taste good, but I'm not craving after it no more. Now I'll eat me some sweet potato pie. Yeah, the rest of that I'll leave for y'all. I got a taste for angel food right now. All right. Angel food. All right, Elgar, let's get the last one. You're going to love this one right here. Now, y'all getting taught the word. It might not be exciting to you, but it's true. And I mean, if you come to the church, you need to learn something. You could shout and run all around the floor. They shout, run all around the floor, and a preacher be gay as a $3 bill, got up shouting, and then he dancing, his skirt coming up higher than there, and they running and shouting. And man, we had church today. What kind of church you think you're going to? Because that ain't God's church. And you so politically wrecked, you don't believe that anymore. Well, that's up to you, but I know what he called me to preach. Preach the word in season.
And out of season.
And don't beat nobody up with it. I'm not against anybody. I just want to understand that just because you put a fancy name to it and put a document with it, don't mean that God is in agreement with it.
Amen.
Come on,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Events which God plans. These events have to happen because they are part of God's purpose and they are predestined. They cannot happen. The cross is a good example. It was planned before the world was even created. For God could not or would not create such a high-risk being as man with his freedom to fall without committing himself to pay the price to redeem and restore him. The cross was the most necessary event of history.
See, the cross, the most necessary event in history was Jesus dying at Calvary to pay the price that since Adam messed up in the garden, no man could pray. Jesus paid the price. And a person is not living, they're living that high-risk living when they're not saved. They're living that high-risk living when they think God's going to jump up and save them. If he saved you, he got to save everybody. The Bible says he can draw you, but he don't save you. Many will preach to you, but Jesus, the Holy Spirit, Jesus gives you the increase. You can get some increase today. And what happens is when we start thinking in our own way, and how is a man going to think straight anyway if he got a demon? He got an alcohol demon. He got a pill-popping demon. Some of them are selling pills. Selling pills. Christians. Selling pills.
Come on, Pastor.
And right now the government is going to put you in jail because you're going to... One thing about the government, he needs some people to rule. And he ain't going to let you mess all these people up. You selling pills, he going to get you. Some of them are doing everything under the sun. A Christian don't need nothing so bad he got to sell the pills that these people are getting killed off of. You don't need that. That's a murder. We don't need that. We need God. And the reason we got men that's not saved telling us what to do and governing us is because the church won't take a stand. We got the black church. We got the white church. We got the Baptist church. We got the Methodist church. We got the Catholic church. We got the Presbyterian church. We got everything under the sun. And the people in the world don't know what to believe or who to believe because, well, all of them can't be right. But it's one thing we're right about is that cross. Hallelujah. The death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ is what takes you to be saved. You have to believe in your heart. Don't tell me what a man believe, don't believe, or believe will not say. People want to beat you up right now because of what you believe. That's crazy. Because if that's the case, when are they going to come after me for what I believe? They did it already. During the time of Christ, people was crucified for what he believed. Paul, for what he believed. They killed James for what he believed. They killed Stephen for what he believed. And they will kill you. Jesus said, they hated me, they're going to hate you when they come after others for what they believe. If you don't defend other people's right, I'm talking about all of them. We don't beat people up. We don't tear people up. But God gave them a right to believe. Who are you to tell a man he can't believe what he wants? If God showed him heart what to believe, it's God that can change his heart, not us. We need to understand that love chapter, 1 Corinthians 13. So you're going to burn your body with flames. And if you don't show love, you're tickling sound and breath. You're not worth anything. Love is key. They're trying to... Right now, the nation is in a civil war state where people come against each other for what they believe in. Christ ain't even in it. Oh, they ain't going to fight for Christ. They got us on in it. We buried on both sides. Christians on both sides. But yet, what happened? If you stand up, if they're going to knock them out for saying something, you better not say nothing. After a while, you jump up and knock on somebody's door about Christ, they're going to be beating you up right there in the neighborhood because people now are concerned like in the old days. What you believe, they put lion skins on them and put They put dog skins on them and let the lions attack the people because of what they believed.
Amen.
So I'm going to tell you what I believe. I believe that all things will work together for the good of those who love the Lord, call according to His plan. I believe that accidents can happen because we don't see the dangerous signs. I believe that when accidents happen and God made that decision, that young man that died here, he stayed in this church for a year and he was not getting paid to play. He stayed here and played because he wanted to change his life. He stayed here and played because he wanted to find Jesus. He saw a crack in the tunnel. He saw a little bit of daylight. All he did, he saw a little bit of daylight. He said, I'm going to follow that daylight. And he heard a word. A whole lot of times we don't think we can preach. We don't like the way we preach. You know, but somebody can hear what we say. God don't always need a professor, because when Jesus came and the professors and the doctors and all those in the high seats, they spoke well, but they did not believe what Christ was preaching, so he had to go get some unlearned men. I still believe the neighborhood is where to go. I still believe that God got some people out there in the neighborhood. I still believe that some of the best is yet to come out of the neighborhood. Why? Because to whom much is given, much is required. Some people are not doing what's required of them. We have come through a whole lot. Don't think that we can't go anywhere and know that we've already been identified before we can get in the door. Now the devil's playing games with us. He's playing games. He want to use black people for everybody to stand up on them, and make your platform known. And when after they get what they want, they won't even know you no more. I'm like this. You ain't done nothing for me lately. Everything you did, God, everything I got, God promoted me.
Come on, Pastor.
God saved me in Vietnam. God saved me when I went to Fort Benning, Georgia, in 1964 jump school. God saved me when I jumped out that parachute, was all wrapped up in it, and before I hit the ground, He opened it up. God saved me many times, and I wasn't even saved, but I was saved by God. I wasn't even saved. You can't tell me that God, how He cannot prevent some things. You can't tell me that if God let it happen, it's not going to disturb His kingdom. Am I right about it? Am I right about it? Now, some of the things that you have not been preventing, that you have not stopped doing with the day, just take it a little bit at a time. Because one thing about it, as we get older, 76 is a miracle to live. I'm 76. Back in the day, they didn't live to be 49. Back in the 30s, they didn't live to be 50. Now we can live. And it still can be an accident when I drive home. But what happens? We need to know how to pray. We need to know when to pray. And we better know what we believe. Because I'm going to tell you something. I don't let no unsaved person tell me what to believe.
Amen.
How in the world somebody not saved going to tell me what to believe? I don't care about your politics. I don't care about your world. Because the world that you got, you're going to lose. God is coming back to make it right. And He's coming back with me. I'm coming back with Him. I'm going to be telling you what to do.
Come on, Pastor.
Why? Because I believe. I believe. Stand on your feet and give the Lord praise.